out there as being a professional, more or less an expert in the industry.
Well, that's the point, holding themselves out.
And we have tried our very best to utilize individuals. Tree Doctors is a tree company. They're a professional certified arborist by the ANSI standards. They have certifications. They're used in hospitals, universities. They're they have a great reputation. We consider them to be somebody of knowledge, certainly more knowledgeable than me and or any of the board members.
Right.
Same with landscapers. Same with Laurel and some of the other members went to the city of Chandler sponsored events, and certainly the city of Chandler is going to be able to put people out there who are experts regarding HOAs, regarding all the different things that we deal with. So there has been a degree of due diligence being done by this current board, because we're trying to correct some of these things that have gone on in the past.
Well, I have something positive to say for the board, for the older board that I know. You know, I obviously haven't been a part of it for a while, but I know that when we went to change landscape companies, we always took a minimum of 3 bids. They had to come in and do a presentation, and more often than not, we didn't go cheap, we didn't go high. We took middle of the line with someone that had good references. So there was always that time. It was never just, oh, I know a friend who can do this. Exactly. It was always that, and it was a multiple step process.
I really appreciate you saying that, because that's exactly why we pay Haley. John does his due diligence to bring us 3 bids for everything that we do. So it's the same thing, and I appreciate you mentioning that.
If you have a long-term relationship with somebody, there's something to be said for them, because they do a lot of this help us out of courtesy. We don't have to hire them to come out and block records. They do that as part of being a vendor.
So I have to. There is a landscape committee now, and I'm not part of it. But they actually. Somebody was saying, what is the plan? But it was attached to the March minutes. It was at the bottom of the March minutes. But they're trying to come up with like a year. We vote on the year plan in the fall. They present it, we vote on it. It's not like, hey, let's do this willy-nilly. They kind of try to have a plan, and they may even try to have a 5-year plan. So then, the idea is to actually think about it and plan. And,
I think maybe we need them, from what people are saying, maybe just a little bit more oomph about it to get the word around, so that the people that really do take an interest show up.
So I'm good as, we need volunteers to be on the board. And some of us run every year because no one else volunteers.
You've been here how many times?
Yeah, I know, and I'm not running next year. So we need somebody to run. But the point is, so we've tried to do some, we put the minutes out on the bulletin board. We started the website. That was Jeff's idea, so the website's out there. You can get the minutes there. I think we need the members of the community to take some responsibility to get themselves informed, because we're volunteers. And we already get
Well, I'd be more than happy if someone put together a flyer saying, here's the website, this is where minutes are, these are some things that are, let me finish please, that are being proposed and thought of. I'd be more than happy to go door to door and hand those things to people.
That would be lovely.
More than happy.
I think that's really a nice offer, and I'm just hesitant about it because we had some complaints about notices that have been put on doors lately.
Especially if there are people that are out,
The wind and the things are blowing.
Well, how about this? How about stick it under the that security door?
Not everybody has
Not
a
everybody has.
Well, some people
they
don't
do.
stay here all summer.
I understand that, and I would think that there's, at least I know, because I walk my dog every day, I know where people do come in and out of their homes on a daily basis. The ones that don't, okay, there are some, of course, I don't know, but I do know that there are some people who live here, and I'd be more than happy to bring notices around.
People wanting by email and who wants it by mail. And I mean, we have how much more we have to do to.
If you mail it to them, I mean, you cannot get much more other than knocking on the door
It's
and
just
speaking
that I
to them
haven't
face to
received
face.
them.
Yeah. And
How would you like to receive it, Nancy? Let's start with that, because we really do want you to get it. Do you want it?
I'd like it mailed.
By postage mail.
Yes.
Okay.
There are
So,
several.
You're 205? Could you
Yeah, I
ask
get mine
Nancy
mailed and I
to
love
make
it.
sure that-
I read it every time it comes.
yes.
Oh, Arlene, thank you so much.
It was just
lot of
it's
time
just
into that.
expensive if people, you know, prefer email. It's much cheaper. And, you know, and of course that's another thing. That's not our pockets.
Well, all of everybody's pocket. We're not talking about
That's
just
our community budget.
yeah. We're not just talking about one building. We're talking about 84 units and 7 buildings, and all the cost comes out of everybody's.
Do we know what percentage our renters have tenants versus
That's
live
a really
here?
good question. We're kind of getting off topic, but that's something that John has offered to find out for us. It's difficult because some owners don't respond when Haywood sends out a mailing to 84 units. He gets, or Leah gets back maybe 25 out of 84, maybe. Because if you're an owner and you rent, you're supposed to send the renter's information to Haywood, then they know. But if the owner doesn't do that, they don't know.
Well, I rented a condo out for 17 years, so same thing.
You
I
understand.
received the information in the mail and I responded, and so I do understand.
And Leah
people
does
doesn't
send,
always.
well, she's got a list of 84 units, all the owners and all the addresses. And all the emails of people that have requested, which is 46 units, have requested getting all communication by email. So she takes that 46, takes it away from the 84. She emails the 46, mails the remaining, and then she takes everyone that's in out of state and mails it to the occupant. So everybody should be getting this email. And so that's why I wanted to make sure that you get it the way you want it. Okay? So this is for Leah, that you'll get it by postal mail.
Right.
Okay?
Thank you.
All right. Okay, Lisa.
Yes. So I will be the first to admit that I am probably not the best one to say that I am a community participant and I'm always involved. The reason being is because I have a high stress job. It took a lot to be here by 5:30. And as you noticed, I arrived late. And I'm on call till 7 and I'm on call until weekends. So it's difficult. I have faith, especially for living here for 7 years, that the board is going to do what's necessary. And so there hasn't been anything that I haven't been not overly pleased about. So when I woke up this week, and I read the letters on and off, I woke up and noticed that the grass was, the rock, the grass was gone. I was kind of surprised. And I saw some signs earlier the week before, and I said, okay, something's up. What's going on? So when I saw the note on my door with regard to come find out about grass, gravel, if you want grass or if you want gravel, that's why I'm here. I want grass, but I also want to know if there's a logical reason as to why we shouldn't have grass, then I'm opening to listening to that and understanding that you guys are going to make the best decision. But I really want to know.
So I think there's some confusion here because it's not about we're going to get rid of grass. It was about there's a little island right there that actually there were complaints about the sprinklers spraying cars because that's hard to sprinkle and keep the water in that little island. You know which little island I'm talking about? As you first come into A,
Okay.
there's that little knob.
Maybe you could show that.
And then there's the two beginning parts of the fire lane.
Okay.
Okay, because when we water that, we tried putting a certain type of sprinkler in that little fire lane thing right there, because they used to sprinkle out. We put things that weren't supposed to go so much. We thought that would stop it from running down to the roundabout.
Are you talking about the island at the roundabout there?
No.
No, oh, okay.
I'm just talking about that
part-
little
okay.
one that's beside the
Excuse me.
car.
Before we drive
park
there,
there?
I think she's
Yeah.
talking about the parts that stick out
Yeah,
right
it used
here.
to complain to us about
where
the water on your car.
you got the
And
parking
we fixed
spots
it.
here,
We fixed
and
it
then
7 years
right
ago.
here, these little spots right here.
I haven't had water in my car for 7 years until the sprinklers were taken out and
That's not what
replaced.
you just told one of the owners that came to us and said you were complaining about it just the other day.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they took the sprinklers out, put new ones in, didn't adjust them. Now my car gets sprayed again.
They didn't put new sprinklers in, John. I
Okay, so the
guarantee
sprinklers
you-
were not pulled out of the ground.
I guarantee you they didn't take.
They didn't take the sprinklers out of the ground.
They didn't put new sprinklers in.
But did they take the sprinklers on Monday 2 weeks ago and remove them from the ground?
I don't know.
They did.
They did. Then they came back and put new heads in.
They might have in that section they're planning on taking.
All of them were removed. Everything between building A and F. Now it sprays my car again.
That I'll tell you why that happened. Are you listening?
Yeah. So I wasn't.
Looking up in the sky.
I have a child in the pool.
Maybe he should come out and sit next to you.
I think it's fine.
Yeah. I think it would be really polite if you're going to listen to me to look at it. I
Okay,
looked at
Laurel.
you when you
I'm
spoke,
sorry, Laurel.
okay?
I am so sorry.
Thank you. When we approved the plan, the landscape company got the approval of John. So when they came in on Monday, that's when they come Monday, they started to do the plan. That's when you put out all the flags and the signs and everything. They didn't know what to do. Because they had been instructed, because we had an approved plan, to go ahead and do it. So it's not that they took it out and put it back because it was haphazard. It was because there was a plan.
I didn't say it was haphazard.
I apologize for that then, because that's how it sounded when you explained it.
Laurel,
I said
have a
that-
question for you real quick. What's with these? I don't know if it hasn't been taken care of, but someone's been spray painting and vandalizing the grass out there. Why is that not been taken care
You're
of?
talking about the blue?
Yeah.
I think actually the landscapers did that to know which areas they're supposed to remove. Is that right? The landscapers did that?
Landscapers
Did
frequently
you write
put
on the
spray
grass
paint.
with paint
So does,
job?
I think, the
Did you write
city.
save the grass?
I put the
Yeah,
flags
saw
in. I didn't put all the
something
signs
like
up.
the grass spray painted in it and
Oh,
stuff.
all right. I haven't seen that.
I put the orange flags in.
You didn't write save the grass with fix.
I didn't even put up all the signs.
On your deck, you didn't put that sign up?
The sign was on my deck, yes.
Oh, okay, that's what has been, we've been getting complaints about
Yeah,
that.
'cause, you know,
It's
I just
not
had
up anymore.
some
It's been down for
sale
2
up
weeks.
there, And I went up there the other day to look at it, and the people that were up there looking at it mentioned that signs and stuff, and they just thought that was kind of tacky, and they just didn't like. I think it turned them off from like being interested in the place. They just left. You know, it kind of went trashy.
We don't want to
sorry.
do that. We really want our property to be
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
And we want to have communication, like you said.
And that's not,
I
It
do
doesn't
think
seem like
that
that's very civil communication, personally.
Okay, so the discussion is, what the board was looking at doing was getting rid of the little mound right beside the cars, because I don't know how much value that little mound gives, but it is hard to maintain the sprinkler system within that little
It's a
mound.
little bigger than the size of this table. I mean, it's oblong, but so it's not extremely large.
And then the two pieces, and the only reason we're doing this is because for years we tried to address the water pooling down in that roundabout. And it does tend to decay that.
Asphalt.
Yeah, beyond the, I didn't know about the slime and people getting out and all that. I just know it stayed wet, and we would have to, whenever year we talked about where to repave the parking lot and take care of issues, that was a big issue. I think that was an issue when you were on the board.
Yeah.
We were trying to, how do we keep the water from going down there? So that was the only reason those places have been targeted. You know,
and that comes out of the HOA.
Yeah.
and not the two, I mean, there's two right here, and there's a sidewalk, and there's more grass. Not this back here, just these, and that's the only reason, because the water went down.
That's not hard
Well,
area
I
to
think-
maintain with like cutting and everything too.
Yeah,
It's like
I think
landscape.
the thing is, though, that it was kind of like the straw that broke the camel's back. We didn't want our grass removed in the first place, and then to see the last of it, we want it moved the other way. We want more grass, more
Well,
bushes.
we're never removing the huge grass behind you, ever.
No, but in front of my building, I want the grass Right. back. I bought it because the bushes were beautiful, the grass was beautiful. I had a huge tree. Right. I have a moonscape now that I hate.
Well-
Every time I look, I walk towards my house, I go, I hate this compared to what I purchased. I hate it. And I've been voicing that ever since they put the gravel, and I know you're tired of hearing it,
No,
but that's
it's
my
okay.
honest opinion,
And-
that I
and
hate the
you're
gravel from
entitled to
day
your
one.
opinion. And,
Yeah.
and I think maybe some of the other buildings would say the same thing, you know, that.
If everybody addressed us the way you did, I think that's reasonable.
So when I lived here, one of the main reasons I lived here was because of the horses over there across Tyree.
Yes. Oh, I miss the horses.
And it was a dead end here. I've been here for 21 years, so, you know, it's changed drastically. These units were here when I lived here. And things change, I mean, whether you like them or not.
I know, but I have a say in it, and these
Yeah,
people
yeah.
have a say in it,
Right.
so that's why we're here today, is
And that's why
because
we're-
we have the ability to change it, so we want to find out
Was it
what
not
our...
discussed at all? Was it just like poof, it was gone, the grass, no one discussed it at all? It was
Well,
brought
no,
up
it
10
was
years
pretty
ago.
much, it was pretty much a board meeting, one board meeting. They had kind of got tired of the letters that came in from people, and they thought that we need to act on it. And the problem was that there was maybe one or two people that were loud and the rest were quiet, like now, where they weren't participating. And so I voted against it because I've always loved grass. But the other board members at the time decided that maybe gravel would be better. And to tell you the truth, I don't think it was advertised to the community. Right, and I think that's part of the problem is just the communication issue. Simply put, I'm not against a majority vote. If that's what it is, that's what it is. But at least give us a vote. And I think that's the biggest.
Give the whole complex a vote on
Owners
every-
need, yes, absolutely.
How
We
would
need to have a
do
say.
that?
That's a good question. That's why I asked about what's the percentage of owners versus non-owners, because again, it's an issue that is not just, something that the board has to deal with. This happens everywhere. People just don't always.
Yeah,
Well, that's why I said I'll go door to door. I will do that.
Party here a little while ago. There was signs up at the mailboxes, and it's notified for a while. You were there. You were there. You were there. You were there. Like both Andy were there. This thing was noticed for a while, and it's just a chance. This little party that they had a couple.
Like it's a
was it
little
Halloween?
happy hour.
Oh, yeah,
social hour.
Yeah, and 6 people showed up.
I think that's.
All right, I don't think it's possible for us to vote on everything. And the CCNRs are not set up. I mean, what happens is once a year, the membership hopefully will vote on their board members who then will make decisions. And even then we don't get a whole lot. But I think we could be aware that grass is a very important issue here. And if anything's going to, most other things might be okay. But
You
if
guys
anything's
do
going to
an
impact
A-OK job.
grass, if anything's going to impact grass, probably we should get a little bit of newsletter about we are considering getting rid of this patch of grass for this reason, and if you have concerns, please let the board know. It might be that the board still says, all right, we got this pavement problem, we're still going to do it, I don't know. But at least people would be aware what the decision is, what the thought is, and they could get their
And
email
why.
back. I
Yes.
mean, most other things people don't seem to care about.
guys
But
do
the
a
grass
great
is
job.
definitely an issue.
You do. Well,
I think usually, I think people aren't here most of the time because, like you said, you just trust it's going to be okay. She said, 7 years you've been here, you trust, okay, things are, I mean, we have healthy reserves.
You can come to the party, I
Yes.
guess. If my schedule is open, I will try to be there.
I mean, I have to say to you guys, we have healthy reserves. We've never done a special assessment. The pool's been redone. I mean, the board does do a lot
This
to
is
keep
a
on top of
beautiful,
things.
beautiful place to live.
But there's some things we need to talk more about so people are aware.
Well, there's one more issue that it kind of goes into part of the reason is it's expensive to maintain grass. Sprinklers break, and just the water bill and the overflow and
That's
stuff.
just a hard spot to work with too. Just the shape of it,
Yeah, but we do know people love grass. So
I can't talk. They cut me off.
Yes, I was wondering, with Arlene's comment, would it be satisfactory to put more bushes
They
by
just
your
keep cutting me
house?
off.
Yes.
Okay,
And I'll-
I'll have to send it to my dad. I'll have to send it.
yes, it does, and I'll even contribute. That's why I asked you. I value it so much. I will make a personal contribution.
Yeah, if there's something else we can do to satisfy
It's very hot. It's very hot over there because we know that on this building, we get that same sun that they get on the front of their building. So it's very hot. I understand what you're saying. It's hot.
through
That's
trial
why I
and error,
put
they're
that
finding
screen
out what
light
they
so
can
hot.
plant, what will work.
Yeah, I'm willing to compromise. I'll even put my own funding into it.
So in the fall, just to piggyback on what Sarah just said, in the fall there's a tree planting plan that we bring to the board. The landscape group gets together with the tree company. We walk the whole property. He gives us, we have maps of all the trees that have ever been here from the tree doctors. And each year we X out the ones that had to be removed. And then we try, and we started last year, we planted, the HOA planted 12 trees. 13 got planted, but I bought one over on the other side of my house. So that's even something too. I paid Haywood, and then Haywood pays the arborist to come around and put the trees in where they are expected to be. So that's what we plan to continue doing as a landscape committee. Some of us on the board are on that committee, and there's several other people that are on that committee. And then we take that, and then we bring it to the board, these 5 people. And the couple of us that are on the landscape committee try to
recuse ourselves, explain the situation, all the plan, we try to tell, the reasoning, and then we sit back and let them discuss it and let them, unfortunately, there's parts of us that are on different committees, so we try to let the people that aren't make the final decision.
So if somebody was interested in landscaping, but they couldn't make the physical walk around, could they be on the committee and they would know they get emailed the plan, then they could review it and ask their questions or express their concerns. So that's one idea. If you're interested in the landscaping but you can't make the physical meeting, let put your name on a piece of paper and you can be part of the landscape committee and get emails. What about that?
That'll work.
All right. And maybe we can put that in the next newsletter. That way you're at least getting informed if you care.
And if we have a meeting this night,
There isn't any.
there's a possibility.
If the grass goes, there's no one to water
We
it.
have good suggestions at times. We could adjust our.
I just
we
have
have
a question.
adjusted times. Just a second. Andy had his hand up first.
Winter grass is beautiful. When it comes to the summer grass, things start to change.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And I don't ever remember landscapers aerating or fertilizing. And that would have a big thing to do. Of course, it doesn't come free.
Right.
It's up your expense. And there is grass that you can buy for shaded areas, or put in for shaded areas.
We have talked about that in our landscape.
That isn't cheap either.
I've seen them come and aerate it because they have holes in the ground or whatever. Yeah.
The fact that the aerated would be a big thing right there, fertilizer.
You can tell someone that's had a lawn in the past.
Yeah.
Oh, this man, every morning I look at, he's doing something on this complex.
And we are greatly appreciative
It
of
shows that it come from.
Oh,
From
man.
there.
Thousands
Oh,
of
okay.
dollars, by the way.
Brian
Yes.
has started doing a lot of little things around the complex too, so we thank you too, Brian. Nancy, back to Amanda.
I'm just wondering what impact taking out the grass, which is in front of
206, 106.
206, 106. I mean, that area there. How does that affect? Because there is a water sprinkler there. How is that going to affect the trees that we have in front of?
That's a really good question.
I don't see any water coming to those trees.
That's a really good question. And the landscapers have agreed to charge us no extra, and they've been slowly but surely going around the whole complex to trench around the trees so that the irrigation specialist can actually observe whether the trees are getting the water that is appropriate. And that's what the tree doctor's arborist suggested to him. And it was all in agreement, and there was no extra charge, and they've been trying to accomplish that. But that's a really good point. They did agree, Nancy, to answer your question about will that tree live? Because Arlene brought up the point that when the gravel was put down, that then you lost the tree anyway.
Yeah.
And the tree that is there will be, what's that called? No, for that tree. It's like a round thing that bubbles up. Do you know what it is, Jeff? It's around
Bubbler.
the trees. It's like a round thing, and you can see it bubbling.
Bubbler.
And
Yeah,
it makes
bubbler.
a little moat around the tree. So it does that every morning. Okay, so they're going to guarantee that will be done and that the tree will be protected. Jeff?
We're asking about full-grown, 15, 20-year established trees. The
That's what
little,
I was talking about.
there's no trough around those, and then their root systems go to the edge of the canopy of the tree, which means if you water the right around the tree, you're not getting the most effective area. If you stand at the entrance off of Kyrene and look, the only areas that those full-grown trees are still remaining are within just a few feet, if their canopy doesn't go over to the grass areas being discussed removal. And what happened before, when we had the grass, it was removed, and there, if you look where the trees used to be, which have yet to be replanted, there's no green area. I understand a new tree, a bubbler around it, it's going to get the water, but as it grows and those roots extend, some trees do have a tap root, so it would work with those there, and as they extend, how do they deal with that? And so looking at the front of the buildings now, of building A and F, there are 5 trees remaining where there was about 10.
And I want to address that because I meant to do that earlier. The building F, from the entryway to the corner, and then all the way back to the dumpster along the north wall, has absolutely no water. And we have a we asked the outside or right at the building. The outer all the outer part. Absolutely no water.
On the street side of the parking lot. That's not where I'm talking about. I'm talking about in front of the buildings.
Well,
Right there. That's okay. I understand, and there's no water out there. It hasn't been for years. Okay.
So there's no water on any of that L shape. So we got a bid to replace that and to make it work. Because a lot of trees along there have been lost and we can't replace it because there's no water. So we got the bid, and that's going to be part of this long-term plan because building G, we get a lot of complaints from them that there's just nothing over there. It's just a blank wall and there's, but they have grass too. So we're putting it in the plan, taking care of building A first, and then next year we go to building F. So I misunderstood you. I thought you were talking about across the street, but now I understand you're talking about right next to the building.
Yes.
And that's part of what we do in the fall to, as much money as we put in our budget, and I don't know if Nora's got that or not, but as much money as we put in each year, we divide that into how many trees, and then the tree arborist chooses the places where they've been removed and the places where we can replace them. Does that answer your question?
No, my question was, how do we water the existing full-grown trees?
Deep root watering. So there's
Okay, is that being put in?
Little tiny
Our
plots
tree
you're talking
guy
about, there's trees
is
there.
specifically giving direction for the health of our trees.
Okay, that was a big concern. With if the grass was removed, yet we had no knowledge of if that's going in, that changes a lot of things. With
There's still 2 really mature trees right in front of 2 out of 5. Aren't there still really big trees there?
Two-
those are
205,
the two trees that
206,
I'm concerned about.
they reach the grass canopy, and the canopy comes over to grass. It's got to be the only place they get water.
See how the canopy comes over the grass in front of her building. There's no grass.
So you're just asking
The sidewalk.
to make sure with the landscapers that all the irrigation is done properly so that the mature trees are being watered properly. That's
Yeah,
what
we
you're
can't.
saying?
Because we've lost about 10 trees in the front of building A and F, and I'm talking right in front of the building.
And some of them were those elm trees that
Which-
was in the report that they were the wrong kind of tree.
Right, but these were lost before you guys hired an arborist.
Right. I understand that.
Okay.
But he has that in here, all the
That's
trees
fine.
that he's sitting here. He put this plan together and gave us each a copy. So I understand what you're saying now, John, just to explain it. I'll make sure that we have assurance that all the mature trees are being checked to have the deep water or the kind of water that each tree needs. Because some trees that are indigenous to Arizona aren't what you're talking about.
Right.
They're getting what they need. And that's why they're recommending to us the kind of trees that we're putting in now. We're putting in all trees that are indigenous to Arizona.
So like
I understand that.
Mailbox, that's indigenous?
Yes.
Okay, cool. It was a
Yes.
new kind of tree, so I just
called,
wondered.
Yeah, that one is a great one. That's called Sisu, and it makes a 50 to 60 foot canopy. So, and doesn't need much water.
When you get the new watering in out there, it's going to look so much more lush up there too. Because if those trees are dependent on rain in Arizona to grow, like you start putting some water in those trees, and that place is going to explode.
Okay, good. Well, that's what we're looking for.
Yeah.
We're in the right direction.
trees to grow. I know. Yeah.
It does, but it's also a really fast growing tree. Sisu, red push pistache, and Chinese elm, which Jeff and Nancy outside of their back have a new Chinese elm. That's the right kind of elm for Arizona. And the other kind of elm, I don't know if you can see them around here, but you can tell because there's like stuff coming out, like tumors, and there's stuff kind of dripping down.
That's the one in front of
And
yours.
then you'll see dead branches.
That's what mine has.
Yeah.
It's got something coming out. It's pardon me?
So it's probably on the way out.
That's what I was afraid
But
of.
we're babying it. He realizes that, and that how bad it is on that west side. So he's really being careful with that side.
So then what else is this specialist telling us? Are we on the right track? What's the...
that's what we try to do. We try to get the tree, landscape, and people that'll come in the landscape committee to agree that this would be best for our community, for all 84 units, and for the budget, and for the environment, and for everything involved. We try to choose what's best for 84 units on 7 buildings.
That's that one over there. And do you feel like you're getting good feedback?
We spend hours and hours and hours every month doing research and taking calls and going to classes. And I mean, Sarah and I went to 6 weeks of 3.5-hour classes.
Wow. I have 0 other board members that I take care of. I take care of many associations. I have 0 board members that spend 6 weeks learning how to be a good, judicious, responsible board member. This is the board that you have. I mean, they're trying very hard.
We're trying to do whatever's best for everybody. I appreciate it.
I think we're blessed to have a board that we do that cares so much about the place. I mean, it just shows this place. How old are these front buildings?
Yeah, they were built in, well, at least
85.
Built in 85.
Yeah, 85.
You know, you go around and you find complexes this old that still look this amazing, and it's not that common.
Because we aren't talking about nature. Nothing's going to stay the same.
Right.
Just because you saw it 10 years ago. I mean, have you ever had a yard and a home, not a complex? You don't ever get anything to stay the same. The seasons change. Things happen.
And just
it's
as long
nature.
as this place has been here,
I mean, but it doesn't mean we don't want to try to keep it as beautiful as we can.
Well, that's
Of
one.
course.
there's more trees on this property than there is at that Tumbleweed Park over here. I mean, it's amazing, you know?
That's another good thing about this landscape committee, because they're looking at where did things die and what do we have to do to replace them, which, because I've been on the board off and on for like 16 or 17 years, and we didn't always do that. You know, things would die, but we were just kind of, I mean, I don't know, they're really actually trying to do a lot of planning. It is a lot of effort and time.
I remember my uncle was president, wasn't he, of the board for years, and he worked his ass off, excuse my language.
He was pretty
I was
tireless.
so amazed at how much work it is. And now that Laurel's taking on these people, it's a job. I mean, it is an actual job.
And we
Luckily,
wouldn't be
my uncle
doing
didn't
it
have
if
to
we
work,
didn't
and that was his job.
We really care.
Well, you asked about feedback. You know, it's always the ones that are unsatisfied. You know, nobody ever calls.
It'd be so fun to hear you guys come to meetings and say, "Oh my gosh, I love that you had enough money to clean all the dryer vents."
I know.
Yes.
I was going to bring that up next.
That is-
I'm like,
yes,
that
that
is
is
fix the
amazing.
pool. When I found out from my downstairs neighbors, or they had done first, I'm like, we're not paying for it? Because I was ready to shell out $50. I figured that's what it was going to cost. I'm like, free? This is awesome.
Well, the whole pool got resurfaced. That was
This pool is
$30,000.
beautiful.
We have tried.
It's nice to look out our window and
Really
see
tried
this.
to keep this place up.
We're going to try to maybe clean and paint the carports in the fall, as long as we can know we have the money. We have to make sure we absorb the pool, but, you know, it's time to fix those, I think.
The moving vans don't keep trashing the
I know.
edges. I saw somebody did it over there.
Yeah, you know B, right, John? It's got to be fixed.
No, that's not your guys' fault. That's just people being careless, and those vans are awkward to move around.
And if
people
you're
just don't
renting
know.
it, you're not used to driving it.
Yeah.
When you find one spot on this property that you can go like, oh my God, look at that. You can't find it. This place is meticulous. It's amazing.
Okay, I really appreciate y'all being here, but my job as board member is to get through this agenda. We've gotten through homeowners' comments, and we usually finish at 7:30. It's almost 7:45. You're all welcome to stay. We've recorded comments. You've recorded comments. We have told you our thinking, all of the reasons of the plan, and we want to know, are you satisfied with the reasons? Are you still questioning? Are you
Does everybody
gonna-
understand the sections that are, have you looked at the sections that are in each other?
I mean,
As Brian pointed out.
The area of grass being proposed to be removed.
It's not a
Are you
large
familiar with
area.
where? Are you familiar with where they are at?
No.
Okay. So I have a little map right here. I'm sorry that it's not very good. This is the island. This is what is that road? Kyrene. Kyrene, right here. This is our entrance, and here's that little island, right?
Right.
There's some flowers at the front
Right.
of it. There's a tree in the middle, and there's grass.
Right.
Okay, that stays. There's the main walkway between
Yes,
A and
okay.
F. Right here at the front of building 106 and 206 unit,
That's fine.
there's a little bit of grass right there.
Right.
That's the area being proposed to be removed. There's an area directly across the walk on the opposite side. That little area is being proposed to be removed. Both of them are about, this size. They're a little oblong in their shape. There's a third area, which is just over here by the parking area, and it's only like the size of this table. It's like this big. So and
By what parking area?
It's
by that first parking
across
area,
right behind us, as you come in,
Okay.
where the
just
fir
that-
trees are,
like
or the
that
pine
first
trees. Sorry.
parking space right there. Before you get there,
Yes.
there's this
Uncovered.
little tiny area. It almost looks funny that it's grass because it's all rock and you have this one little thing. So those are the three areas being considered to be replaced with rock.
And are there any trees on these big trees?
There
are
is
there
one
any
tree.
trees right in that little spot?
There's a tree right on the inside of building A to the north.
Okay.
So right in that walkway, and that's the tree I think Jeff was mentioning earlier.
Jeff, yes?
If the grass goes, deep water watering, what you're talking about, is being put in
Yes.
those areas to save those remaining 5 trees as long as we can.
Wait, what 5 trees?
The one in front of 204 is yours, Nancy. Your 204, 205, 205, 206 are 2 there. One off the balcony of 206. Then as you go to building F, there are 2 existing trees. I don't know the numbers, but it doesn't hit the first window. It's the second window and over.
They're both the wrong kind of elm tree, and they'll both die, the arborist said, within a couple of years.
So we're going to let them die.
No,
We will try to
you can't do
water them.
anything. You can't do anything
How?
about it, Jeff. It's what happens to those kind of elm trees.
That's what happens to all of the other ones that have died.
I think Jeff wants assurance from the board, correct me if I'm wrong, that we are going to do all we can to properly water the mature trees. Am I right?
Yeah, and I know trees die, but
And to
these
replace.
and replace these trees outlived the previous 8 that died by 9 years now, and the only difference is getting water, not getting water.
So your theory is that little mound of grass by the parking garage, by the parking carport, is watering those trees in front of y'all's building.
It's the only water they get.
Or the one directly
No,
south.
wait. Now I understand what you're saying. You're saying the rock area, right? The rock
saying that
area
little-
in front of Nancy's house?
Where the trees are.
Where the big
Yeah.
trees
Yeah,
are.
that's what I'm talking about the whole
We
time.
have a brand new drip system there.
Yeah.
It's all, the
We're-
board just,
There's no water that
There's no water.
we
When they
never see any water.
when they remove the
on
rocks,
trees. Never.
it just comes out of little tubes, and
So,
it goes right to
assuming
plants.
Those trees are being completely fed by the little grass area over there.
Not completely, but that's got to be their main source of water.
okay, so
It's
now-
been for years. But
now
they've
what we
they've
can do
lived
is
for
we can
this long
investigate,
without
right?
water, is what I'm saying. If you're
Because
saying there
when we
wasn't
see
water
it
there,
now, especially with them having taken out the majority of that rock, that stone.
In order for them to take out the rock, I'm no landscape expert, but they may have had to turn something off while they were doing that in order to protect.
it's
Just
still.
that I have never seen any, never have I, when the sprinklers come on, I have never seen those 2 trees, one in front of my bedroom window and the other
In front of
like
mine.
in front of,
In 206's windows.
yeah, and the one next to me,
Well, the
204.
regulars are 4 trees.
No, but those roots extend out and absorb it, and if you
Because the
take away that
canopy goes over the
sprinkler
sidewalk
system,
to that
then
grass.
all of a sudden the
From
main
that
source of
grass
water
to
for
the
those
trees.
trees that's just kind of seeping into the ground from the grass
8
is
feet.
gonna
So
be gone.
that's
Sidewalk and about 3 feet.
So it's your belief that the water for those trees, which aren't even near, right next to the grass, that water over there was intended to be the watering source for those
I don't know if
trees?
it was intended
No,
to, but it.
because
it's
originally that was all
become-
grass.
Right.
check on that.
So, Brian,
I don't know
That's-
you know that.
the water from this
was
grassy
all grass?
area that they're referring to, that's going to come out, that has a little bush, right? That, and the tree that I'm referring to is from where I'm sitting to right there. and I have never seen water.
Is there a possibility that that watering system? I imagine there was something there from before that those trees sprinklers could be put in to water those trees.
I think that's what Jeff is asking. And
Well,
I think
he
that's
wants
what
assurance that we do that.
We
Yeah.
can check on that.
I mean, if those trees are being watered by the grass, the watering of the grass over there, that's not appropriate, and our landscaper needs to fix it.
Right, and there's no reason
And
to
I'd
solely
be
keep that
surprised, the
grass
roots
to
would all
water
have to go
trees.
that
It's not
way, so I
intended.
don't know.
But roots
That's
roots
not
of trees go to the edge of the canopy so that they can get the water that runs off, unless it's a tree with a taproot, and those are usually more vertical trees, or
Our
sometimes
landscapers
desert
should make
trees.
Sure there's water all around the root system, so if they haven't done that, they need to do that.
And you do intend on replacing where those rocks are, putting bushes in there, aren't you?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's not going to be just rock, it is going to be landscaped.
There's several pieces of landscaping that aren't on the rudimentary drawing, but they're matching your landscape in your
Okay, that's good.
So the March
Yeah.
minutes have the plan, now maybe it's not real understandable.
I actually brought the plan. I have 10 copies of the plan right here, so we can actually hand that out.
So the March minutes, it was said in the minutes, see below, and that's where the plan was. Now, you know,
Anybody
I would
want
say it
one?
was bullet
Okay.
points.
I emailed it out to.
Yeah, I got it. That's what
Sent it
Leo was
out.
nice enough to send it.
So we've taken all of your comments and we need to move on to the rest of our agenda because some of you I think are waiting for some of the other issues to be discussed. If I'm not mistaken.
So what do we know, so are people still, I think you were trying to ask people, okay, what do you, now that you know our reasons,
We need more information,
And I
right?
think what Jeff brought up and Nancy is that we need to ensure that the trees are getting the appropriate water so that we don't lose any trees because of this decision. That's what you're.
And I think it's something that should be restated also, that there is going to be landscape put in place of the grass. It's not going to be just rock, it's going to be shrubbery, some bushes put there also.
Right.
Okay, I remember that.
And then in the fall, whatever the tree expert decides that trees need to be replaced, there might be some around there too. I can especially see one over by Building Up.
These are Ron Lee's recommendations, right?
These are what?
Ron Lee, it says Ron Lee's recommendations at the top. Ron Lee is the landscaper that gets paid also, right?
Oh.
Can we get a second opinion on all this information?
Oh, this is after we had the tree arborist and Ron and who else came with us that we walked around. And then the only reason it says Ron Lee is because after the whole plan was approved, then we sent it to Ron Lee, and then he sent us the breakout of what it would cost.
And he more suggested the type of trees and plant material, and the board had reviewed, you know, authoritative books put out by the city, different things that would go there. So,
And I understand, but he's making recommendations, which I understand and I completely accept, but he's also going to get paid for these in the end.
Right.
Maybe we need a second opinion because maybe there's a more cost effective. We could take his plan and just, okay, have someone else come out and say, what would you do in this area? And if they come back with similar things without seeing this, then I have no problem with Ron doing. I'm just concerned that he's kind of making a recommendation, but at the same time, he could be saying, let's put this tree in, because we went to Lowe's and looked at trees and they're $50, and we're going around and some of the trees that were planted here still have the tags on them, $250, that almost the same size tree, and some of them the same tree. And I understand, different suppliers and stuff like that. That's all I'm saying is a second opinion. I'm not saying he's crooked or anything like that. I'm just saying that I think.
We've all said the same thing.
Okay.
And what I've done is, remember the fellow that bought 101, the contract?
Clyde.
Yeah. He
McDonald.
has landscaping people, and I send him things like that, and he reviews it and sends back to me, this is all within the industry prices. So we have done that.
Our landscaper, obviously if they're a landscaper, they have knowledge of trees and stuff too. Have they sent any opinion on the situation?
Yeah, we don't just say, Ron, walk around and tell us what to do. We don't do that.
That's not what I'm saying. But
And
yeah.
he doesn't walk around and say, I recommend you do this, 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 and this. He walks around with us after we've gone through all of our material and the arborist, and he says, here's my pad, I'll write down whatever you want us to do.
And if we choose to put something in where he just think it'll grow, he'll say, well, I wouldn't put that there because the sun didn't get enough sun, if it's too much sun.
He makes more recommendations rather
So
than.
I manage a number of properties. Just so that you know that the pricing is fair. I pay in other places up to $45 for a 5-gallon plant. He charges you 18.
Right.
We pay up to $250 to $275 for a 24-inch.
No, yeah, those prices are accurate. Absolutely.
And that is
Those are the prices
great.
you charge
That's
us.
great
Right.
pricing for the board to say, hey, look, Arlene wants a plant in front of. She's made a request. Ron, can you put a plant here? And that's a large part of this. If you look at Building A, it says unit number 101, we're going to put an orange jubilee. 103 and 104, we're going to do an orange jubilee. 105 to 106, we're going to remove the ficus and replace with an orange jubilee. I mean, that's not Ron making suggestions. That's the ladies, the board members who have gone through and consulted with the publications through their 6-week educational class, and then coming up with this and saying, we want an orange jubilee here.
Will that work?
Can,
And then he'll
can,
tell
can
us.
you understand the confusion when parents,
It is.
when people read this that says Ron Lee's recommendations?
Yeah.
Because that was exactly what my dad said.
Yeah. And
Probably
that,
need to change
and
the
that is a
title.
good point.
And he does a lot of stuff for us pro bono, just, you know.
I'm not saying he wasn't. It's just the way it comes across. It looks like the guy who's going to do it is making the
That needs
recommendations,
to be changed, because that's not how it happened.
and that's how it's communicated to owners, which causes
That's a good point.
conflict.
That's a good point. Okay, so we really need to do this agenda. It's going on 7. All of you are welcome to stay, but this does have to get completed tonight. Are you all okay with giving your opinions and hearing back the reasoning behind our...
So just to recap, we all know the area that we've been considering. They're the 3 small areas at the entrance right here. The reasons for removal is because it does damage our damages our asphalt, and it's also a slip hazard. We have an aged population, and that we don't want to have there be there's a slope there more so than other areas. So for those reasons, it has been deemed by the board with support from individuals who are more knowledgeable than we are to convert those to rock. That's how we arrived at the decision. Here's our plan that's been reviewed for months and has been approved. Does anybody have any questions about that process?
Okay, we need to move on then, and I really
So
welcome you.
is this
Sit
being
down.
done?
We're going to talk about it right now.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Well, we're actually going to talk about it when it gets into the stuff, but right now we need to get through the agenda, and the first thing on our agenda board is the approval of the April 18th minutes. We all received them in our email. Is there a motion to approve?
My dad was down here 2 weeks ago. He has years experience in landscaping, a degree in forestry, and he's seen this, is extremely concerned, and he wants just more information. We've asked repeatedly to get things, and they don't come from John. He keeps leaving messages for John, no return phone calls. We just would like to get more information to make sure those remaining trees don't die.
We are $2,500 higher than we had expected to be so far for our income. We did receive some miscellaneous income. Our total income for the first 4 months, $63,608, which is $3,000 more than we expected to bring in, which is great. On the expense side, our landscaping and grounds is nominal. So far this year, we've spent $7,400, and we are under budget by about $5,500. That's because we have not done any tree work yet. We will be doing some tree work. Repair and maintenance, we've spent $13,140. We are under budget by $1,500, which is great. Utilities, we've spent $16,764. We are over budget by $2,000. That's mainly because of water, sewer, and refuse. I believe that there were unit price increases there, and the refuse that's your trash, and that is a standard flat fee. So there's a pricing problem there. It's not an overuse problem. And then the sewer and water were just slightly over by a couple $100. On supplies, everything is normal there. General administrative, that's our accounting, insurance, legal, collections, management company, printing and postage. We've spent $17,505, and we are over budget by $4,000, and that's because we paid a large chunk of our insurance premium in the first 4 months. We normally space that out over 12, but we had paid that a little more up front. But as the year goes on, that will balance out and we won't be quite so over budget. Does that make sense? As a whole, for the month, we spent $18,600. That was more than expected, primarily due to some plumbing and roofing repairs, estimated about $4,000 for the month. And for the year, we spent $54,900, and we should have spent $56,000. So we're under budget by $1,000. If you flip the page over, on page 6, you can see that we have $5,305 in the checking account. We have $78,000 in the savings, and we have a $10,000 certificate of deposit as a rainy day fund. Your total cash balance is $93,000. Any questions? To have $93,000 is commendable.
If there are no questions, the financial report stands as read. All right. We're going into old business now. We had already the discussion on the landscape plan. We had a finalized plan. We agreed to postpone it because there was a lot of questions. So we've done that, and we've listened to all of your concerns, and you've listened to all of our reasons. So now we'll open it to board discussion before we decide on the direction we're going.
And they also can make comments with any vote,
Correct,
right?
correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
I still think we proceed with those 3 sections because of the reasons. That's what, you know.
Okay. Are there any dissensions in the board? Has anybody changed their mind from their vote before? Okay. So any dissension from the audience, from the reasonings that you've heard?
I have a question.
Nancy?
I'm not opposed to the grass being taken out, given an understanding of the situation. I've seen many desert landscape, venues, places, homes that look really nice, by my definition. What I am opposed to is kind of the haphazard, what I think Building A looks like, especially down by Arlene's section, just kind of this haphazard placement of, I'm not familiar with the names of the trees or plants or whatever they are. So what I wonder is what those areas will look like. You said there's going to be bushes in there.
They're the same type of bushes that are along the front of your building. I think they're called potato bush, I think. It has some pretty little blue flowers on it. Along your walls, along your front walls.
I think what they're looking kind of scraggly. I think what we were looking for was more like this is the first time we mentioned it. We were hammering out details. We're looking for more like a hedge along the wall to neaten up and give it a little bit more green. And then should we go to the landscaping committee to discuss that too? Because like those bushes that are over there lining the fence, those when they grow a little bit bigger and you put them close together, I don't know if they're native or not, but they grow fairly fast. They form
They're
kind
oleanders,
yeah. We're looking for something like that to line the bottom of our and give it more green. So you can have the gravel in front, you can have scattered bushes,
Right.
but you're seeing a green border along the wall of our building.
Close to your
Yeah. Yeah.
close to the
I think what you're looking at, if you
so
want
not
this,
flowers.
No,
just
we're
green.
looking like a hedge, a green hedge.
Okay, so yeah.
but I think then the planting's going to be waiting till next spring because the idea is you have to get your planting in the spring because it's hard to plant once the heat comes. So if you're wanting to revisit this whole plan.
No, that's okay. But if we know that it's coming and we can have some input ahead,
Right,
you can wait
right.
till spring. But we
Right.
just want to have some input and
Right.
we'd like to have that. So do we go through the landscaping committee, which you just signed up for,
Right,
to
right.
get that maybe in the works?
Right. So you would have to revisit what is going to be done in the plan and part of it that won't get done. Is that
Well,
right?
actually, what's been done in front of your building is complete. That was taking out the ficus trees that were dead, and the empty inserts, and all the inserts were planted with the orange jubilee.
Yeah.
So that's uniform now, that all your inserts have orange jubilee. Then, the whole community got kind of cut down to about knee, like
Yeah, had to
because
do
of
that.
the frost.
Right.
So everything's kind of coming back now.
Yeah.
And then the other new plants were in the back. There were some oleanders put in the back so that you have more of a uniform look in the back. And there were some, where the three grassy areas are, is where these same type of bushes. And if that's what you don't like, then tell us now, because
Right.
we thought with everybody else's comments that because building A is so pretty with all the flowers, that's what we
We're just
wanted to
looking for a
continue.
border that hugs our wall.
Okay, but what about the three grassy places? That's where we were going to put the bigger
You can have it
flowery
there. The more,
bushes.
the more the better.
The
But we just want to
big
hedge.
flowery bushes out, but then you want the hedge close to the building.
As
Yeah.
it was.
Okay, so that would have to be done later, but the grassy areas, you're not talking about hedge there.
No. I'm
Oh,
just talking
okay.
about literally like hugging our building in
Yeah,
the
yeah.
front here. You can take the grassy areas out as far as I'm concerned because I know your reason. I thought you were just going to put gravel. I didn't know there was any potato bushes or anything assigned. But you're going to replace it with prettier gravel. But I would like to see hugging the front edge
More
of my
green in front and not so much flowers.
Correct.
Plus, we're working the budget, and we can't put all of it into your building.
Yeah, no. That's why I'm saying I'm going to make a personal contribution, and I asked how to do that.
Right.
So, my question is, this big bushy, I'm sorry, I just don't know the name of it. It's the
Yellow
yellow,
bells.
what is it?
Yellow bells.
Yellow bells? Okay. So, the yellow bells in front of my condo, there I think are two by yours. They grow very quickly. They die. They're ugly. I mean, I really don't care for them. So
you
you're
would
not
like
going to
a
put
more
anything like
trimmed-
that.
You would like the more trimmed
I-
yellow bells.
If they have to stay, sure.
Well, they're very indigenous to Arizona. They take very little water. They look really pretty in the spring. And every other building is very jealous of your yellow bells.
Okay.
And that's
I
where
like
they
them
grow
when
the
they're
prettiest
so
is off
jealous
on the
of
west
them.
side.
I like
So
to
you know
put
that's
the
a
top
that's a
of them.
You
personal.
would like
on my
them
wall.
better trim, not to get so big.
Yes, and anyway, as long as we're going to address that at some point in the future, that's fine. Because right now the issue is the areas where the grass is going to be taken out, and what is that going to look like? So it's going to have stone that's not going to be this gray river rock. Okay.
It's called the Madison Bowl.
Which doesn't get so hot.
It more reflects the heat away.
Okay. Is there, see the grass, I mean the little green plants along here. Is there anything like this going to be put in? Or
It's,
you're just,
What would a landscape initiative?
Yeah, in front of what number are you, Lisa? In front of 103 and 104, there are some bushes that have little blue flowers.
yes, I've seen.
That's what we were going to put there to make it look like it belongs to building A. Is that
I don't care
unacceptable?
for those either.
They look scraggly. They
Yes.
just kind of really look scraggly and half
They,
dead.
they look good for a couple months and die.
I'm sorry?
They look good for a couple months and then just kind of fall down and lay on the
What would be
ground.
more acceptable? Because we can change that now. That's not.
More hardy plants are oleanders, bougainvillea, lantana. What else do we have?
Oh, some plum. Is that native or white plum? Natal white plum. We
Sage.
legally did well with those until the really heavy frost hit, and that was a one-off, I think.
They do frost and they're slow growing.
And they don't recommend them to
No,
us.
okay, so let's not then.
But no, the lantana is supposed to grow, but it grows slow.
Is
Like,
there an
it's real
example of
moundy.
lantana?
Lantana is,
Lantana, those little
it's
orange
in the,
flower ones you see along the
Yeah.
freeways
ones.
and
They got
stuff that are
quite
really
a
red
firelight.
and orange.
It's
They're
in that,
pretty. They're
yeah.
very, they grow fast. and they're
Okay, well
very-
if they're nice, then I'll go for it.
Yeah.
I just don't want scraggly.
They,
That's
they,
all.
they get cut back to twigs every year,